On today's show, we're going to dive into some hard-hitting WNBA questions, such as a debate on top WNBA guards, and our first edition of the Prospect Series, where Joshua will take you to the latest regarding WNBA youngsters overseas. Locked On Women's Basketball starts now.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are Locked On Women's Basketball. My name is Hunter Cruse. I'm the new Saturday host covering the WNBA draft and college basketball at large. Thanks for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On Women's Basketball is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered with more props and odds than ever before. And BetOnline, where the game starts. I'm joined by my co-host Joshua Welch. Joshua is a women's basketball content creator and can find it at ENFP_hoops on Twitter. If you enjoy European basketball, Abbott Elementary banter, anything in between, this is your guy. Okay, Joshua, let's get into our first question. We're going to have a quick Would You Rather WNBA edition. So our first question, which guard initiator would you rather build your team around for the now and future? Kelsey Plum, Sabrina Ionescu, Kelsey Mitchell, or Jewell Loyd? Give me your pitch.
So for me, I'm picking Jewell Loyd. I think she's going to have a major opportunity this next season to really expand her game and be like the vocal point of that franchise, with Sue Bird obviously retiring and then potentially Stewie exploring free agency or potentially staying overseas. So I feel like this is going to be her team. She's going to attract free agents and everything, and I think she's going to reach another level. She's scored 15 plus points in 6 of the last 7 seasons, 3+ assists in 6 of the last 7 seasons. I just think there's another level to her game where she can be considered one of the best guards in this league if she's given the opportunity.
Yeah, so I went with Sabrina. The main intrigue with her has been her pace-based creation, her deep shooting ability. There was some concerns coming to the league about her athleticism, but she's kind of proved those wrong as well. Excellent size for a combo guard. She can play both positions. Good passer. What do you think separates Jewell Loyd from Sabrina or someone like Kelsey Plum? What do you think separates her from them?
I honestly think they're two separate games and everything as far as what they try to do and everything. Like, I don't know. I think Jewell is more like a sniper and everything, like someone that you can depend on, like to put on points, and someone you can rely on to be clutch and everything in situations that you need her and everything. If your team's cold, knocking down shots to get back into the game and everything. I feel like Plum and Sabrina, like they can knock down their shots, but they're more playmakers and everything, like people that just try set the pace for the offense and everything. So yeah, it's like both solid players and everything, but I think different avenues as far as comparing them and everything. I don't know if you feel the same way.
So side note, you don't think Chelsea Gray sets the tone for Las Vegas
Yeah, so but we're not talking about Chelsea Gray. I'd say Chelsea Gray is closer. I'm just messing. But I think Chelsea Gray and Jewell Loyd are closer to each other than Kelsey Plum and Sabrina Ionescu. I think what they bring to their teams are separate from each other and everything, if that makes sense.
I gotcha. All right, let's move on to our next question. Which defensive anchor would you rather build your team around for the now and future? Ezi Magbagor, Shakira Austin, Bree Turner, or Queen Egbo? So I'll go first with my pick. It's Ezi Magbagor. It's kind of a toss-up between her and Shakira, both scheme versatile bigs that can play at the level of the screen. They're also really good as a weak side rim protector as well. Very mobile, very young as well. So I know these are the two players. Which of these two did you pick?
I picked Shakira Austin. I love your pick as well and everything. Like I was a little disappointed in her lack of minutes after Tina Charles was signed and everything, but that's another topic for another day. But I went with Shakira Austin. I just love the potential she has. looking at her film from Ole Miss, like I was really excited to what she was going to be bringing to the W, and I feel like she exceeded those expectations and everything. 8.7 points, 6.4 rebounds, nearly an assist, steal, and block per game. Like just someone that contributes in every facet, and someone that's going to improve in year two. And it's going to be scary for this league and everything, what she's able to accomplish and everything. Really excited for her future.
So let's move on to our next question. Which lottery team would you rather bet on to make the playoffs next season? Atlanta, Minnesota, Los Angeles, or Indiana? I'll throw this to you, Joshua.
So if I go with Atlanta, I feel like everyone's expecting me to do that. I'm going to do a different direction. Like I obviously think Atlanta's going to be a playoff contender, but I think people are being too hard on the Indiana Fever and what they're building and everything, the direction they're going and everything. I know they're going through a new head coaching change and everything, but I really like the core of what they're bringing, especially their front court. Melissa Smith, Queen Egbo, and then Emily Inksler might be one of the most underrated players that was drafted in the first round and everything. I really like her game and the passion she plays with. And add in, they're going to have 2 more first-round picks, including a lottery pick. There's room to grow from there and everything from what they had last season. Destiny Henderson as well, really solid at the point guard position and potential there as well. I think if they play their cards right, like they haven't in previous seasons, but if they somehow get their act together and everything and continue what they built off from last season, I think they could be going in a better direction and everything. I think people are being too hard on them in the WNBA community and everything, and there's potential there.
So I went with Atlanta. Very young team, but they're going to continue to improve. A lot of their players are under contract heading into this next season. Rhyne Howard at the forefront. They also have Ari McDonald, who was a sophomore, kind of broke out this past season. There's also the looming free agency, whatever you want to call it, with Mike Caldwell. Naz Hillman, she has to kind of continue to develop as a jump shooter to kind of get more minutes as a starter. Very interesting young core what they're building there. And of course, the lottery pick as well. They're probably the most likely choice just based on probability, because with Minnesota, a lot of questions up there with who's actually going to take a step without Sylvia Fowles. Los Angeles is a mess. And then Indiana is super young. Yeah. So let's move on to our next question. Which playoff team would you rather bet on to drop out of the playoffs next season? New York, Seattle, or Dallas? I'll send this to you first.
Yeah, it's hard between any of those 3 teams and everything. Like New York, I feel like is the most likely to stay in the playoffs and everything, just with the key pieces they have there and everything. With Sabrina, with Laney, with young players like Khan and everything. Like I feel like they're building something really special, and Stewie meeting with them last offseason is really promising too. I don't see a way this team doesn't make the playoffs. The Storm, obviously, it's going to be a different roster, but I just feel like a lot of people like Coach Noel, and they have Jewell Loyd as the cornerstone there and everything. I just feel like people are going to flock to that franchise. Yeah, the Dallas Wings, like they've just been so frustrating with how they build their roster. They have the talent, but they don't take that next step. And now there's multiple players, including Alicia Gray, who won out again, another star player that wants out of Dallas. And I would say they're the most likely, if they're not able to get good pieces back for Alicia, they're not going to potentially be back in the playoffs next season.
Yeah, based on like we said with Atlanta, likelihood, they have a lot of stuff to figure out this offseason. Their head coaching spot. Alicia Gray was a borderline all-star this past season. So it's kind of hard to pencil them in, and they were already a surprise last year somewhat, where they just kind of rose to that 5th spot instead of staying more in the 7-8 spot as they were expected. So coming up shortly, we'll catch up on Rhyne Howard and Jasmine Dickey's recent start in Italy, as well as a mention of an undrafted ACC guard that should be on WNBA radars very soon. BetOnline.net is your number 1 source for football betting this season. Find all of your latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, in-depth articles, and analysis on every team you can find. The fastest and easiest way to check on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more. Bet online, where the game starts. And we're back. Thanks again for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first and every day. Make sure you check out the Ultimate Pro Basketball preview starting October 10th. A 6-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NBA season. Local team experts and NBA insiders of Locked On Podcast Network and Odyssey all combined into one Ultimate NBA preview. Starting October 10th, search for your Ultimate Pro Basketball Preview 2022 on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's now dive into Rhyne Howard and Jasmine Dickey's opening start in Liga Series A. The WNBA's reigning Rookie of the Year winner recorded 12 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds on subpar shooting. And Skiho, how do you pronounce their team name?
Shio.
Shio. In Shio's recent blowout victory over GGLA, which is just acronym for what their team name is. On the other hand, Dallas's third-round pick Jasmine Dickey was locked and loaded in her second game with basket Team Karima, posting 22 points on an array of tough shots in typical Jasmine Dickey fashion. I'll turn to you first, Joshua, to discuss what you've seen from Howard and Dickey, respectively, in Italy so far.
Yeah, what's really fun is that those two teams will play each other on Sunday, so should be an impactful matchup. Shio is a top team. Like I believe they won the league last season and everything. Like they're loaded with players like Amanda Azawi, Astu Nutter-Fall, and Maureen Mabry will be joining them later as well and everything. So that they're just a completely loaded team and a team that's expected to win the championship. Dickey's team, like she's more able to take on the minutes that she didn't get with the Wings. And in her first game, she really struggled from the floor. She went 3 of 18. But the biggest thing for me, and I'll go over this all the way until the draft for this podcast and everything, is I'm really intrigued with prospects that are able to step up in other areas. If their shot's not falling and everything, they're still able to make a positive impact for her teams. And in that game where she was struggling, she was still able to nab 6 rebounds, get 2 assists, and 4 steals. And in the next game when her shot was falling and she got the 21 points, like you mentioned, she got 4 steals again and everything. Like she continues to contribute in multiple facets and everything to impact the team. And that's why Rhyne Howard was a no-brainer lottery pick to me and everything. And it was still on display in this game and everything. And I want to hear your thoughts at the end of the Dreams regular season and everything. But I just want Rhyne not depending on the 3-ball as much. She took 10 3-point attempts in this game. But the last 7 games of the season for the Dream, she was first in free throw attempts in the WNBA. So I want to see her driving to the basket, and that opens up the rest of her game and everything. What do you think about that as far as growing her game and everything, what she should be working on overseas?
So Rhyne Howard's rookie season was a tale of two sides. She was obviously an all-star this season, but first half of the season she was more efficient, not getting to the line as much. Second half of the season she was less efficient, really struggling to get consistent buckets. She had a couple duds in there, but then like you mentioned, she continued to get to the line towards the end of that season, this past season. So I don't know if we're gonna see as many opportunities because where she's at, they don't have a bunch of rim protectors she's going against and like elite defenders. So it's not going to be an amazing sample to kind of judge whether she's improving as a finisher and as a rim pressure. Just continue to get to the rim is what she needs to continue to do to just advance avenues of her game, because she can obviously is a really good shooter, a lot of versatility as a movement shooter. So I'm interested to see how she plays once we get more into EuroLeague ball.
Oh, definitely. That's where things will definitely pick up and everything, yeah.
After the break, I'll give Joshua the floor to talk about an under-the-radar player that caught his eyes. But first, check this out. Okay, Joshua, tell me about this mystery player.
She happened to be playing in the 2 teams that I was watching in Shio, where Rhyne Howard's playing, and Bologna, where Cheyenne Parker's playing and everything. And Delisha Washington out of Clemson just really stepped up against teams that the odds were stacked against her and everything. And even when teams were focusing on her, she was still able to contribute. Just was really impressed. She earned a combined 33 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals in 2 games. So I'm sure those stats will go even further up when she's not playing such elite teams and everything. So that's someone to really watch out for. And just again, put another emphasis on how much talent we're missing in the W and everything by not having expanded rosters and more teams in this league and everything. I really think there's more talent here than people know and everything. Like Maya Caldwell not being able to be on a roster, and how long it took us to get Rebecca Gardner in the league. There's just so much talent out here, and if you have a chance to watch overseas hoops, I strongly recommend you'll see some names that you're not able to see in the W.
So when you mentioned Delicia's name to me a couple of days ago, actually, the first thing I did, I went to her hoop stats, like always, kind of checked out her stat profile from college, of course. So a couple of things I noticed was she wasn't super reliable as a long-range shooter. The efficiency was kind of wary there. Her assist-to-turnover ratio was like pretty much 1-to-1. So not just this comfortable ball handler, decision-making wise. But one thing I did notice was she had a 3.2% steal rate, which can kind of be a good indicator for athleticism, event creation, and just being able to beat everywhere on defense. So then I was like, okay, let me check out some. I didn't watch any full game film or anything because I just looked at some highlights and just trying to see what can I depict from like these couple clips. So one thing I did notice that kind of relates to her steal rate was she's extremely athletic at getting downhill. I overheard the commentators saying like it's like one of the best forms of offense. Get the ball in Delisha Washington's hands, getting downhill, super crafty. Saw a couple finishes with both hands. She went like one possession, she went with her left, right back to her right in transition. As I mentioned with the jump shot, it's a bit inconsistent. And one thing I noticed with her jump shot is like it's her valgus and her knees. Whenever she shoots, her 2 knees go together, like they turn inwards, which can kind of like limit where her misses are happening. Because she'll have some shots where they're short, then others where they're long. So that's just one thing I noticed with her jump shot. But the mechanics are all right. I think it's kind of clearing up some stuff. But I'm interested to continue you tweeting about her and talking to me about her game and seeing where it develops. But more time overseas, because I think after the Rebecca Gardner situation, we're going to see more coaches looking overseas and trying to find diamond in the roughs.
Yeah, because Coach Wade got multiple diamonds in the roughs and everything. Julie Alleman, too, played really well for the Fever and everything, and then came back to play with the Sky. So there's just so much potential there and everything. And, yeah, I'm hoping there's a change soon to be able to see more of these players in the W. But until then, strongly recommend tuning in and everything. The Euro Cup games you mentioned, it doesn't require like a paid subscription or anything. Those are played on YouTube when those FIBA league games are playing and everything. So something viewers may want to take a look at and everything to see some of the top teams in Europe face against each other.
100%. Thanks for making Locked On Women's Basketball your first listen every day. In a few weeks, you can join the crew for a further dive into more 2023 WNBA draft prospects as we gear up for the college season. Next week, we'll be joined by Ohio State guard and 2023 WNBA draft prospect JC Sheldon for an exclusive interview. That'll be exciting and something you guys will need to watch. But now, make your second listen Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Josh Loyd hosts the #1 daily fantasy basketball show on the planet. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts.